Michael, dude, this one's an interesting one. Former Bethesda lead artist says he quit during Starfield development because the team had grown too much. You lose that tight-knit little family feel, and you become a corporation. And not everybody likes that, dude, including myself. Too big becomes too big, right? I like being a small team. It seems to work better for me. But either way, Chris Scullion over at VGC, a former lead artist at Bethesda, says he quit during the development of Starfield because he felt the team had grown too large. Nate Purkeypile, I kid you not, worked at Bethesda for 14 years, during which time he was the lead artist for Fallout 76 and worked on other titles including Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and Skyrim. Before that, he worked at Retro Studios, where he was the world artist for Metroid Prime 3. Dude's got a resume. Right up. However, Purkeypile left Bethesda in 2021 to form his own solo studio called Just Perky Games, and has now shared a trailer from his latest game on Reddit, alongside comments on why he left Bethesda in the first place. Purkeypile said that while he enjoyed his time at Bethesda, he left during the development of Starfield because the team size had become too large in his opinion. Quote, I know a lot of people have thoughts on Starfield and how it is probably too big, should have been smaller, etc. He wrote. He continued, I agree with a lot of that. And while I enjoyed working at Bethesda a lot when we were about 65 to 110 people on Fallout 3 and Skyrim, I enjoyed it a lot less as it grew and grew. I had a lot of fun building spaces a lot of you have probably seen, like Diamond City, Blackreach, Little Lamplight. I was lead artist on Point Lookout and Fallout 76 and more. Starfield was about 500 people or so when with 4 different companies involved. That's the other side of it too, right? You got BGS, BGS Austin, BGS Dallas, BGS Montreal, and that's not including outsourcing. This just wasn't my style. There's so many meetings, and it wasn't like I liked to build games. It was like being able to just move fast and build unique things. Sometimes you lose the craft the bigger you get, Michael.
I mean, it feels that way, right? I mean, he mentioned, I think, Skyrim is sort of that Bethesda game that all other Bethesda open world games are held to. He said that was only about a, 60 to 100 person team. Now all of a sudden we 5x that to Starfield. The people have said Starfield doesn't have that Bethesda charm, right? It feels too big. It feels too empty. So no, it definitely seems like he's on to something, right? After Skyrim, they probably said, look, we got to go bigger, we got to go better, and sometimes that's just always the case. I mean, you mentioned it, 4 different studios, you're outsourcing, just probably the number of people who put hands on Starfield changed little things here and there. I can see, I mean, all of this is checking out, right? I mean, you look at Starfield, it's not the game people had hoped for. The reviews for Shattered Space are not in a good spot right now either, so I believe this, and I will say I'm curious. I'm sure he, didn't give any feedback, and if he did, I'm sure it was ignored, but I'm curious what this means for Elder Scrolls 6, right? Are they going to go with a big team? Are they going to maybe try and get back to that Bethesda charm and bring back kind of what people wanted in that Skyrim or a Fallout 3 that everyone loved those games? But it seems like they might be onto something that maybe Bethesda just went for bigger is better, and I don't think it was for for Starfield.
I kind of wonder if they're falling into the Ubisoft realm of too many teams and not enough great games, right? Like they're falling into one of those. Now, granted, some people absolutely adore and love Starfield. I was in it, dude. I'm 100 hours in easily, right? I never jumped into Shattered Space because it went in a whole different direction for me that I was not going to be a part of. So it's just, I don't do the horror stuff. We all know that. But it's one of those things. It is unique to go, man, too big for their own good, right? Look at Ubisoft. One studio after do it. They have like 25, 30 studios. It's ridiculous. And they still can't put together a great game, right? Like that's not more people doesn't necessarily mean a fantastic game.
True.
So 4 studios isn't Ubisoft size, but it's still a fair size, man. Like that's a pretty big team when you're talking 500 plus people. So there's a lot of moving parts in that. How do you make it all come together, and will it pull off what you need to in the end? For some, absolutely did. Some people love Starfield. They love that world, being in there and just finding random occurrences, whatever could happen. And then there's others like, man, this this game is empty. Like, why am I out here? Where do I go next? Okay, now that I'm on this planet, now I gotta walk all the way over there and then all the way back. Now we're getting the Rev 8. So we have the Rev 8. We have a new mobility system when you're on the planet. But it's still one of those, it doesn't feel populated. It just feels like an empty world at moments, right? At moments. So this is why they shifted with Shattered Space, because they heard the feedback on Starfield feeling so empty, where this is a handcrafted experience on one particular planet, right? Like they went back to their roots because they heard the fans. So that part to me is cool. They're listening, right? Wondering now what's next for the future of Starfield, and what does the rest of Bethesda look like? And then at the end of the day, what's Nate's game